Okay, so we're live. Welcome on this Monday morning to OnSet. I am Daniel Norton. I'm here in my studio in New York City with Stephanie. Nope, hold on.
Having trouble connecting.
Having trouble connecting.
It's about to start.
Okay.
So we may have already been live because this happened before.
It's part of the live.
Okay, so now I think we're live again. So I'm Daniel Norton. I'm here in my studio in New York City with Stephanie.
Hi there.
And we're going to try to do OnSet live this morning on this Monday morning in New York where it's cold and bright and sunny, right? It was warm about 3 days ago, right? And now it's cold again, so in the Northeast. Anyways, so I'm here. I wanted to play around a little because I get a lot of questions about like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And people want very specific rules. And of course, we spend a lot of time teaching kind of the rules of photography, if you will. But today I'm going to kind of break one of the rules, which is typically you don't want to light somebody from overhead. People talk about, oh, you're inside, is overhead lighting, it's bad. Well, it kind of depends on where the lighting falls, right? Just like anything, things can be used. And obviously if we're controlling it, like I'm going to today, we'll be able to make overhead lighting, look, I think pretty nice, hopefully awesome. I do want to thank Hasselblad. They are letting me borrow this X1D today, which is pretty awesome so far. It's their new mirrorless camera, and it's very, very tiny for a medium format camera, so I'm very excited about it. So we'll see. I'm using the Hasselblad today with their 90mm lens. As always, we use the ProPhoto lighting, and we'll get to it. So I'm going to start off with, this is just a ProPhoto B1X in a Photex soft lighter, which is essentially a big old umbrella with diffusion on the front. I love this for portraiture and for beauty because it just scatters the light everywhere, gives you lots of room to bounce light, which is really useful for beauty to fill in shadows. And it's also very inexpensive, which is nice. So this is here on my stand. I'm just going to swing it in for your kind of classic, if you were going to do a 45-degree position, this is kind of here. Now, I will say I don't have TTO capabilities with the Hasselblad here, so I'm going to use my light meter. I've got my Sekonic light meter, and I'm working at 100 ISO, 250th of a second. I know I want to get to be about around 5.6 or f8 because I want to kill the ambient light that's in the space, so I'm just going to test it first, if it's working. So I'm just going to point my meter at the light. Getting around f8 now, that should be good. It's a big light source, even though I was standing in front of it, kind of blocking it, it should be fine. This is just for a test shot. So I'm at f8, 250, ISO 100. We'll take a really simple shot here. Now I should point out, that's it, you always have to stop before you take the shot. I'm gonna turn off the flash for a second. I sometimes forget to do that when we're doing these live. I want to make sure that none of my ambient light's affecting the shot, because you guys are all looking at the light in the space and you can see that she's lit up, but I want to eliminate all that light, so I'm shooting without a flash first, right? So that should give us, I am tethered over here into Focus, which is Hasselblad's capture software, and we can see that I have a black frame. So that's good. That means that none of the light in the space is affecting the shot. Okay, now my flash is back on. We're shooting around f8. We're not going to waste any good ones. We're just trying to get a basic shot. So we can see that's kind of classic side light. That's actually not terrible, like just lit across. Some of the light is hitting the background, giving us a gray background. We'll deal with that in a second. And you can work with this. Kind of, this would be good for your yearbook picture. Stephanie's graduating this year from high school, so this is a nice kind of side light. No, so this is a nice soft light, but we're going to not do the classic 45. I want to go up overhead with the light. So this is, again, on a C stand. I'm just going to tilt my light like this. Oop. You have insurance, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we're going to put the light up over her head. I have a sandbag on it, as always. Let's see. Now, where you put the light when it's over somebody's head is going to be very, very important, right? So I can flatten the light out here. Again, I'm using my arm and my C-stand. And of course, if I put it directly overhead, some of the light will go back here and light it, some will go in front of her. If I put it mostly in front, I have all this light here that I can work with. I'm going to split the difference. I want it to go a little bit behind her, not too much though, so I'm kind of going overhead. This is good too if it was raining or something, you'd be covered. You have to make the rain joke every time you use an umbrella. It's required in the photographer's manual. It says to do that. All right, so again, this is basically our light source. I am going to say this, right? What's going to happen here is that the light's above her. So common sense says that the top of her head is going to be brighter than her chin, right? Which is fine because she has dark hair. If you were working with, let's say, a blonde model, you'd be maybe have to be a little more careful because you don't want, obviously, the lightest part of the shot to be lit with the most light. So I got my light meter again. You can do it a lot of different ways. In this case, I'm going to point it at the camera because I want to get kind of an overall general reading. And I'm getting F11 because I moved the light closer. I can actually dial the power down from here. So I'm using my remote to dial it down, just a bit under F8. So we'll start there. Let's see. So I probably should set my white balance too, just because well, I'll do that once I get my exposure. Because you look a little blue. Not sad, but blue. Good, so we'll try this. So this is directly overhead now, right? So we see we have that classic problem with the overhead lighting. This is exactly what we expected to get. The background got a bit darker, right? Because less light's hitting it, which is fine. We're gonna light that separately. And we have the shadows coming down in the eyes. Nothing's very good. The immediate thing that you could do is just have her put her chin up more. If you just put your chin up a little bit, or a lot. Yeah, there we go. So, you know, if you were, that would help, of course. It would get a little bit more light in there, but we're still very, very dark. So what we're gonna have to use is some kind of fill, right? So the most classic way to do this is to use a card. This is a, thank you. This is just a piece of cardboard, basically. I spare no expense here, Stephanie. So I'm gonna tilt it up like this because we want it to kick back into her face. And I'm just gonna raise it up. I'm pretty tight here because it's a portrait, so I'm gonna actually flatten it a little bit more. Like all lighting things, you generally want to put the reflector as close as possible. So you move it up until you see it in the frame, and then you can just take it back out. Okay, I don't see it, so that's good. Okay. So see, we can see now that made a big difference. Now, in order to really amplify this, what we're going to do is we're going to have you lean into the reflector slightly. Yeah, and then you can actually, she'll get more light. There we go. Raise my camera a little bit. So we're basically just, we want to scoop the light in under her face as best as possible using the reflector. Good. Good, good, good. All right, here we go. Nice. There we go. Now we're getting the light in nice. Now, this is a basic fill, right? And it's making a difference, but one of the issues here is that this under light, the fill light, can never be as bright as the upper light, so we're still gonna see some shadows under the eyes, right? Because we don't have that control, right? This light's always gonna be brighter because the light has to come down, bounce, and then go back up. Could use a silver, that would help a little bit, but it's not gonna fully take care of the problem. What we wanna do if we want more control is we want to use another light source instead. So instead of just using the card by itself, I'm actually going to bounce a light into it. I have here a Profoto B2. You can also just skip it off the ground if you want, depending on the surface of your studio. In my case, I have a white floor, so I could easily just bounce it off the ground, but the card's already here. So the way the Profoto system works is I've got two different zones or groups, and I've got this one set in my A, and this one is now in B. So I'm going to meter this so that it's a little bit below the other light. So I'm going to move to group B. So I'm going to go to group A first, and I'm going to actually turn the light off so that it doesn't fire. Yep, turned it off, good. And then I'm going to go, yep, no, I'm just firing the bottom light. That's what I want. So again, I just want to get a reading. I'm going to keep it in the middle again because I'm just trying to, that's the reason why I did it in the middle before. Okay, so I'm getting 5.6, which is one stop under. I'll try that. It might be too much. When you're under lighting somebody like this, you want to be a little careful to be sure that your light does not come up too much from the bottom, but we'll try it. It's one stop under right now. Everybody's face is a little bit different, so you have to experiment a little bit. There we go. So now we're getting a bit more. It's still not quite enough. So actually, I can actually use a little bit more on you. I'm actually going to move it a little more centered too. Change my angle slightly. Actually, you know what I'm going to do for you guys too? I'm going to actually turn off A again. And I'm going to just fire B because I want you to see what it's doing. First, I'm going to turn it up. Okay, so this is just the underneath light. Okay, so we can see what that's doing, right? Okay, that's actually not terrible. So I'm going to turn A back on. If there's any questions, let me know. Isn't coming through here. The light's going to come back on and A. Good. All right. Good, good, good. Nice. There we go. So now we've got almost even, and actually it works out well for Stephanie. Some people, that might be too much. But you got to watch the shadow under the lip. I think it might just be a hair too much. I'm going to move this a little flatter.
Okay.
You don't want to get, you're good. You don't want to get too much shadow coming up from under the lip because that can actually make a little mustachy look. And typically that's not what we want. All right.
No, we try to avoid that.
Yeah. You know, sometimes. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So lean into the light a little bit. Good. That's it. Chin up a bit. Good like that. Here we go. Nice. There we go. So now we've got nice light. Now, the final thing I want to do, because it's a little bit flat right now too, is I want to come in and add a little bit of light from the back. So I've got another light here. This is a Profoto B1X. I'm just going to put it behind her. I'm going to hide it back here. And I'm just going to point it at the background. This is in group C. I'm going to start it at about 8 power-wise. I'm just taking a guess at this point. Here I'm going to just play around a little bit. I could meter it, but I kind of want to just get a feel for what it looks like. The other thing I'm going to do too, making slight changes as we go, is even though I said I was going to keep it directly above, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I think in the case of Stephanie, it'll look a little bit better if I tilt it slightly this way. Again, everybody's face is a little bit different. You're going to want to play around with it a little bit to see what works the best. Okay, this way too, I'm also covered if it rains. Nice. All right, here we go. All right, so again, we're testing for the background light. Here we go. Good. Oh, that's not bad. Now we've got nice. Yeah, it's not blowing back, so we've got a decent color and everything there. Now, here's the thing. Right now, you look a little bit off color-wise, so I'm just going to have you hold this in front of your face. You want to do your, in front of your face, yep, in front of your face. Yep. You want to do your color chart after you get your light in place, because if you change your lighting, then, it could affect the color. Thank you. So you want to make sure that we actually apply that after, and you can see when you can neutralize that out. See that? And now we can just apply that to all of them, once we get the shots going. Cool. There we go. Now she's nice and warmed up. Background is white. This looks pretty good. The one thing, again, I'm going to be a little careful. Don't lean forward too much because I'm actually noticing that we're getting this turtleneck is not quite against you, so I'm getting a shadow.
Got it.
So we got to be a little wary of that because, again, we're lighting from underneath, so we want to be a little bit careful about that. Good. Good. There we go. That's pretty. Yeah, and actually, try to, you're really, really big. There we go. That's actually kind of nice when you're looking down like that. We'll try that. And we're creating kind of nice, kind of soft light coming in like that. Lean a little bit more towards me. Good. Pretty like that. There we go. Perfect. It's really pretty. And then just maybe, that's pretty with the eyes like that. Bring your eyes up a little bit. One thing you got to be wary of in a daylight studio is I'm looking at this beautiful light on your face from the windows. Oh no, actually it still looks good. And make sure you don't get yourself carried away with the light coming through the window because it's actually not affecting my shot. Remember that. Right now we're only using the light that is here. Oop, one more, just like that. Big eyes right here. Cool. Nice. Nice and simple. Then maybe one last one right at the camera. Kind of extend your chin forward a little bit. There we go, like that. That's actually good. Yeah, pull that back so I don't see the shadow. Perfect like that. Good like that. And then hold it and just, there you go. Good like that. Here we go, focusing. Perfect, here we go. Nice. Good, just like that, nice and simple. So again, taking something that is typically told not to do, right? Shooting from above, lighting from above, can be really interesting. So are there any questions? 2 questions, yes.
One says, when using overhead lighting, do you have to use a C-stand or will a regular stand be sufficient?
Okay, so do I need to use a C-stand for this? I don't have to. I mean, I actually, to be honest with this light source, it's so big, I could have just backed it right up next to the model. If you're using a small source, you might have to use a C-stand because you got to get the lighting closer. But yeah, a regular stand would be totally fine for an umbrella, for sure.
And second, what are we using to stream the multi-cam?
Oh, right. So we're actually using, thank you. I meant to mention that because they were so awesome to hook us up with this. Sling Studio is this small, I don't want to break it, so I'm just going to touch it right here. It's like a small little box here. And we're actually, believe it or not, I'm touching it. Believe it or not, we're actually streaming from this Sling Studio. We have 2 cameras plugged in and we have the computer. And I'm actually streaming on my phone right now. So I'm in my studio. And I'm not using the Wi-Fi here or anything. We're literally just streaming off my phone. So we could do anything. When the weather gets warmer, we'll try to do something from the park. But it's a really simple solution. It's not so expensive. You can plug up to, I think, 4 devices into it. It's pretty cool. So that's actually pretty awesome. So thanks. What? Hand up.
And what software are you using to
Oh, the software is Focus. So PH, spelled with a PH, PHO. CUS, that's Hasselblad's their own software. So I'm using the Hasselblad today, the new mirrorless X1D. So if you wanted to tether the Hasselblad, you got to use Focus. I don't know if it tethers into Lightroom or not, but I wouldn't because this is free and does an amazing job. One thing that's kind of cool about this, not to drift to a totally different subject, but Hasselblad's raw files hold on to their information so that like a lot of things, like if you're shooting, let's say into Capture One, which is what I normally do, you make a session folder and then you like shoot into it and all your changes stay in that session folder. Hasselblad, the raw files actually stay with the image. So I could literally just take the actual image file and send it to somebody else with Focus. They can open it up and all my adjustments will be there. So it's a pretty cool feature of this particular software and this company. So if you do a lot of raw stuff. What lens is it? This is the 90. Yeah, and this is a whole new system, their mirrorless system. I think came out with it maybe like last year. I've been using the H system for a long time, so this is kind of cool to, maybe I'll handhold it in the next video so we can see how it plays out with the really small camera. But it's super, super tiny. I mean, I'm amazed at how small it is actually. So anyways, not to drift from that, and Stephanie's getting bored, so she's like, Hasselblad. So by the way, this is Stephanie. You can find her on social media. We'll put the links in the description once we're done streaming today. You can find me, a Daniel Norton photographer, here on YouTube. I do some non-Adorama type videos, and also, of course, on Facebook. You can see some photos. We'll throw them up from this. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Adorama TV, of course, to see more videos like this, and I'll see you next time on set.